Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our monthly chat with our wonderful mayor, Mr. Clint Lamb.
Wonderful mayor.
How about that?
It only took 12 years to become wonderful, but thanks,
I lived
John.
that.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
All brought to you by our good friends at Gina Mills Country Financial Services, 21 North Court Street right here in Sullivan. Make sure you stop by and see Brian and Gina for all of your auto, home, also life, business, and retirement needs. It's a beautiful day, very close to summer. The pool is open. So many things to talk about today.
And Steve Tucker is driving by City Hall. I just saw him go by. So, Steve, I know he's an avid listener.
Yeah.
So if he's listening this morning, here's a special shout out to Mr. Steve Tucker. And once again, also, I want to reiterate John's comments here. Big thank you to our sponsor, Country Financial. Brian and Gina Mills do an amazing job. See them today for your insurance and all your financial needs. Be sure to check them out. But John, you are right. It's summer in Sullivan. So many great things going on. My gosh, the sun is out. The flowers are in bloom.
Yeah.
It's busy bees all over the place, whether it's constructing new homes, whether it's folks out remodeling their current homes. I see new roofs going on. I see paint jobs going everywhere. I hear kids splashing in the water and all kinds of families down there doing all kinds of fun stuff this summer. So yeah, it's a great time to be in Sullivan. We had an outstanding May. It was a huge May.
Was it?
They loved it. It was huge. Never been better. It's the best. It was an outstanding month of May. They had the May Day celebration, which brought so many people downtown Sullivan. We had the flower flood going through the month of May. So yeah, I know the Sullivan Senior Center had their kind of kickoff soft opening through the month of May, and no, it's just a really good time to be here in the city of Sullivan.
And it was so good to see the pool open. I know there was a lot of work done because,
Yes.
you know, you had tornado damage and stuff. You had a lot of people working on that to get that done by Memorial Day.
Sure. Is that our first topic today,
Well, I
Pool?
don't know. I just thought about it.
You know, we usually don't do notes. Pool opening. Okay, that's all right. We'll jump right into that.
Number 4.
Yeah, that's number 4. Hey, you know the motto of this show.
Yes.
We can't guarantee it, but we'll give it our best
That's
shot
right.
to get you
For
covered.
12 years we said that.
Exactly. One of these days we're going to get it right. It's countdown 7 shows.
I know.
7 shows. But hey, we're going to get it right in these next 7 shows. I promise you. So, but who's counting? Yes, the pool opening. No, it was a fantastic day, and that would not have been possible without the hard work of Sarah Hannon, Cody McKinley, our DPW director, J.D. Wilson, and the fine folks at Duke Energy and Ohio Valley Gas. My gosh, they really stepped up in a big way. We were not quite sure. We were really hoping to hit that deadline, Memorial Day. Of course, John, you know, I've said many times on this show that I'm scared to death to give dates in this line of work because so many different factors are involved in so many different projects and initiatives that we work on. Therefore, we were hoping Memorial Day, but we weren't exactly sure. But by golly, the folks came together. The Sullivan City DPW department, everybody just jumped in and got down there and made it happen. So yeah, it was a great Memorial Day, great crowds. They were lined up, ready to come in. Everybody had a great time. The Huddle Grill and Chill, they were also on scene down there that day.
Very good.
And also the ice cream bike, I think is the name.
I saw that,
The ice cream bike. So she was down there that day with her kids as well. So I think it was just a great time. That was obviously opening day. And then while we're on the topic of the pool, everybody be sure to mark your calendars right now for June 21st. It's the official first day of summer. Right here in the city of Sullivan, summer started on Memorial Day. And speaking of Memorial Day, had an outstanding service. Once again, kudos to the VFW and the Sullivan American Legion. They put that on every year. I know I think they had their bean dinner afterwards and the essay contest. John, you were there to cover that. And what a great tradition, right? You know, a time for Hoosiers. It's a special weekend for Hoosiers with the running. Was the 107th running of the Indy 500. My little ladybug, Kennedy Leanne, graduated in May. Late April, early May, turned 22.
Wow.
So over the weekend, and then obviously with Memorial Day. So it was a busy weekend in my household, and then to open up the city pool there on that day. So that was kind of the official Sullivan summer kickoff, but the official first day of summer, the season of summer, is June 21st. Therefore, it's a sail into summer event going on at the Sullivan City Pool that day. So be sure to, I think it's a Wednesday, so be sure to mark your calendars and be sure to get down that time.
What will happen at that day? Anything special?
You would ask that. Like I have any idea on the details. It's a sail into the summer. So why don't you just sail through this show, okay? Anyway,
Never had to live on
it's
this.
going to be a great time. There's all kinds of stuff. You're going to love it. Don't worry about the details.
It'll be great.
Trust us. We got this. We'll handle it. It's bigly. It's going to be bigly down there on June 21st. Also, an announcement for the Sullivan City Pool, the water aerobics are going to take off. I talked with Sarah Hannon.
Okay.
Stay tuned for details on the Sullivan City Pool social media page. I do believe there's a Facebook event page for this summer shindig.
Okay.
The sail into summer on June 21st.
We'll look that up.
Don't look now because you're too busy watching the show. However, be sure to watch. And hopefully we have a producer or somebody out here watching for comments. So once again, if anybody has any comments, do you want to jump in the middle of this dog and pony show and really, like, we don't get off track enough the way it is? Yeah, I really need to answer your comments or questions. But we're going to try. So if you have any of those, be sure to pop up while you're listening or watching with some of those as well.
So many things to talk about. Okay, let's start with the top one. Community Foundation donation. Let's talk about that, Clint. That's a good topic.
Yeah, obviously the Sullivan County Community Foundation, in partnership with the Wabash Valley Community Foundation, has done an outstanding job stepping up from the very first few moments, the first few hours of the tornado. So we just want to make sure, I wanted to bring that up today because everybody has stepped up in such a big way. I know and we're going to talk about some of the recovery, long-term recovery. We're going to talk to folks here in a few minutes, and also how the Odd Fellows has now changed the location of all the supplies.
Yes.
So we're getting a lot of supplies, things like that, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But I just wanted to reiterate the importance of those financial contributions, right? From the first moments, we taught that this was going to be long-term recovery. And we understand the anxieties of folks. You know, it's been over 2 months now, right? We celebrated the 2 month, not celebrate, we recognized the 2 month anniversary of the tornado. And there's a lot of folks that are still kind of up in the air and they're uncertain. Mm-hmm. And I know some of those vouchers have ran out through the IHCDA, or they're starting to, and they're going to have to transition into something else. Having said that, wanted to make sure that those financial contributions continue to come in. It's been an outpouring of support that's just unbelievable, right? We talk about this month after month, but I can't reiterate how important it is, because even if you raise $700,000, $800,000, $1 million or whatever, when you have so many people that's been impacted and you do the math, it's really still limited resources. I mean, it's not going to make anybody's life whole, right? And I've said that over and over again. You're going to have federal resources, state resources, local resources, regional resources, but these financial contributions, or even all of that together, is never going to make someone whole, so to speak. But we'll do the best we can. So that's why I just wanted to continue to plug. Be sure to go to their website. You can also check it out on the City of Sullivan social media. There is a link you can click, or you can mail your checks to the Wabash Valley Community Foundation, Sullivan Tornado Relief Fund, and we are still accepting those. And we appreciate everybody that has already contributed. And if you find it in your heart to contribute once again, or if you haven't had a chance to contribute yet, we ask that you please do so as soon as possible.
Very good. Okay. We also have some kind of a deadline coming up here, too.
We do. So we'll talk about this deadline, and then if you don't mind, we'll just kind of jump into our first guest, since we're on tornado recovery and things like that. So the Community Foundation, we mentioned that, John. We obviously talked about being the 2 month anniversary. We do know our friends from the SBA and also FEMA. President Biden did sign the disaster documentation or whatever in April, so which enabled us to get additional federal resources. So we met with folks from FEMA yesterday and the SBA, and we just want to continue to remind folks that Sullivan City Hall is the disaster recovery center right now. We are located at 110 North Main Street, so be sure, if you have not registered yet or think, oh my, I don't need to, or I don't want to, please be sure you register before June 14th. Okay. You must register. You can register by phone, you can register online, or you can come in here to City Hall, and folks will be more than happy to help you. So that's the FEMA deadline. Without any further ado, we're going to have our first guest from the SBA, who's been here, and his team have been working with numerous folks, and they've helped a lot of people here in the community so far. So, Mr. Stephen Clark, if you'll please join us. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Have a seat, pull it up.
Yes.
Thank you for the 30-second briefing real quick. Hey, jump in, and you're going to sit here, so we appreciate you rolling with us very much.
Yes.
Very, very much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody out there.
Morning to you. So, Mr. Clark, we've been talking for a while. You've been tirelessly trying to get the message out of all the resources that you have available. And you've been meeting with a lot of folks here from the Sullivan community. So just kind of give us a little briefing here on kind of up to date, what's transpired so far, what benefit your organization is to the folks, and kind of tell us a little bit about it.
Yes, so we have a business recovery center with trained, experienced customer service representatives here at City Hall. We also have customer service representatives at the Disaster Recovery Center, which is just the next room over here at City Hall, where people can apply for both FEMA assistance and also for an SBA low-interest disaster loan. These loans are available for long-term recovery, and the SBA is the largest source of disaster relief funding in the United States.
Go ahead, Chief.
And we have. Yes. Oh, I'll make sure that I'm audible here and people can hear me. But we want to emphasize that the deadline coming up, which is June 14th, 2023, is our physical damage disaster loan deadline. So we have physical damage disaster loans for homeowners and renters and private nonprofits and also businesses of all sizes. So these funds would be to repair or rebuild, or you could use the funds to relocate. And this would allow you, we cover uncompensated losses. So if you're uninsured or underinsured, we can also help cover those losses. But these funds would be used for you to, fund a recovery.
Sure. So if you don't mind, I ask you a quick question. Kind of compare what your traditional loan to the SBA, obviously low interest loans. They're designed specifically for disaster assistance. And, some folks might say, well, I have insurance. Why would I need a loan? What is this? So if you're insured, what does this loan enable you to do?
Yes. Well, we encourage everyone with insurance to apply for their SBA disaster loan. Do not wait to receive an insurance settlement, because we do not want you to miss the application deadline of June 14th, 2023. As a matter of fact, our program says you can borrow up to the full amount of your loss from the SBA before you receive insurance funds. And then when you receive an insurance settlement,
take that and pay off the
exactly.
loan.
You either use those funds to pay off or pay down your SBA loan.
So essentially, and maybe this isn't the right wording, you're not at the mercy of the insurance company, right? You can have some funds to give you that flexibility up front. You can start your recovery process. And then, like you said, maybe you're haggling back and forth or whatever, but it kind of buys you some time and a little bit of peace of mind of knowing, hey, I do have funding if I need it. I can start my recovery efforts and then obviously settle up with your insurance. And sometimes maybe the insurance might not cover absolutely everything, so there might be a gap.
Yes.
These funds will be able to help
and
get you what
that's
you want.
the very important point that we want to emphasize, that because we have our physical damage disaster loan deadline for the applications of June 14th, we want to send out a damage verifier, and we want people to be moving along with the recovery, and we want to help people get the information in so we can process the loans as quickly as possible and get them the money they need to take care of their, pretty much take care of their family, for the homeowners and renters. But also we want businesses and nonprofits to be able to recover as well. And the thing is, with the way the system works, you can borrow the full amount of your damages up to our loan limits. And then if down the road, if next month or 3 months or 6 months out, you receive your insurance settlement and you don't get as much as you thought, or if your repairs or rebuilding will be costing you more, then you'll be in a position that you already have the SBA loan. And so you won't then say, oh, well, I have this gap from what I thought I was going to get from insurance to what I actually get, that then you might be scrambling to say, well, what can I do about this in the fall or something like that? And by then you will have missed the application deadline for an SBA disaster loan on the physical
So how
damage.
does this actually work? Let's say your home was involved in this tornado. Let's say you lost your home.
Yes.
Let's say the value of the home was $50,000.
Yes.
Can they get a $50,000 loan?
Yes, you'd apply for a $50,000 SBA
Is
disaster
it hard
loan.
to get the loan? I mean, do you have to meet a lot of criteria, or has the response been really good on that?
Well, I think a number of people, my perception, have been waiting for their insurance settlements.
Yeah.
And also I think a lot of people, their lives were just so dramatically affected that you might say they're somewhat disoriented.
Yes.
And that I certainly respect that people are working on the things that are immediately important.
Gotcha.
They've got to take care of their family. People are making sure they're getting their work done, whatever their job situations are. And I understand that people are solving their short-term problems first.
Right.
And an SBA disaster loan, people may view it as more of, okay, I can do that tomorrow or I can do that next week.
I get that.
And I understand that. I understand people have a lot of things they got to take care of, and it's a difficult time.
I think the great thing about the SBA is you have people here till June 14th to assist. So if there is any complications,
Right.
it's not like it's just there's somebody on a telephone. That's why they're set up here at the
Yes.
Disaster Recovery Center.
And they will help you if you, say, lost your documents. Maybe they were blown away
Yes.
in the storm,
Right.
literally. They will assist you with what you need to do, what documents you need to provide, and also with what things you need to get together to perhaps be substitutes or other places you could find information that we might need. But we definitely try to streamline the process, and the great thing is you can come here and ask the questions in person and get the feedback you need. And if you need to then come around and come back later that day or the next day, we're here to move step by step to help you along in the process.
Awesome.
All right, anything else for us today? We appreciate you coming on the show.
So in addition to the physical damage disaster loans, I also want to say that we have economic injury disaster loans for private nonprofits and small businesses in Sullivan County and around the state of Indiana.
Okay.
So these loans are working capital loans. They do not require that the business or the nonprofit has had any physical damage, merely that they've had a reduction in revenue due to disruptions from the disaster. And these are also available.
Okay.
You can apply for them at City Hall as well here with our SBA reps. And the application deadline on those is January 15th, 2024. So the nonprofits and businesses have 9 months to determine, do we have a reduction in revenue? And do we need this working capital loan to recover? And we have more information. We can give people things, but we have disasterloonassistance.sba.gov is our website. And I'm sure that on various local websites we'll have a lot of links as well that people can click through. But we encourage everyone to come to the center and we can talk with you and help answer your questions in person and help guide you with the application process.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Mr. Clark, thank you so much
Yes.
for coming on the
Appreciate you
show.
coming.
Well, thank you very much.
Appreciate all your help up to this
taking the
point so
time.
far and meeting with our citizens. And,
Yes.
And we appreciate your organization.
Yes, well, thanks for having me today.
All right, thank
Thank
you.
you,
Thank
Stephen.
you.
That's Stephen Clark here, kind enough to be with a different with SBA organization. And Stephen's been in this town a long, he's almost become a full-time citizen.
Yeah, he has. He's been here and he's talked to a lot of people. And like I said, the SBA, they have been here for quite some time now, along with FEMA. And that Disaster Recovery Center with SBA and FEMA, once again, is located at 110 North Main Street, right here at Sullivan City Hall. So be sure to check them out today. Make sure, don't just assume that you don't qualify. Just come up, have a conversation. Even if it doesn't work out for you, please explore and exhaust all of your resources. So having said all that, I do believe we have a couple special guests that pop in. I'm going to invite you up here for just a quick second because we want to kind of a quick update to you. One of our absolute favorite civic organizations is here joining us today. Mr. and Mrs. Street, have a seat here in these chairs real quick. If you don't mind, give us 30 seconds of your most precious, valuable time here.
Well, I hate
At
to
least
crash the
that.
party.
That's all right. I got a text last night said he's bringing donuts around 8
yeah.
o'clock. I said, we're going to be on the show, so just jump in. So
Absolutely.
There used to be 12.
yeah, there used to be. Baker's does something like that anyway. Bob and Leela Street joining us from the Salvation Army. Of course, the Salvation Army has been on this show several times, and you guys just work year-round. A lot of folks, we talk about this, think that the Salvation Army is just the folks that ring the bell, right? But you are natural disaster. You are anytime anybody needs anything. And today's Donut Day, it says the Donut Girl's Story. So
On the back side, tells the story.
World War
Okay.
I, there was a group of ladies that decided they needed to go over and help the soldiers out in France. And one of them was from Indiana, one of the original ones. And when they got there, they wrote letters for them, they mended clothes, they did various things. And one of the things they asked them, is there anything you want special? They said, we'd like to have a sweet treat.
wow.
So they came up with an idea of making donuts.
Wow.
And
World
it
War
started
I.
over there in World War One. And when they came back home, they went to their bakeries in their neighborhoods and asked for donuts, and they didn't know what they were talking about. So they had to explain to them, and then they started making donuts back here at home. So in memory of that, first Friday in June
The first Friday in June, so it's the
is known
same
as,
every year.
Yeah, is known as Donut Day.
And they cooked the donuts in their helmets. That was,
Wow.
Put oil in the metal helmets
Okay.
and drop their dough in there.
Great.
Wow.
So you guys do this in celebration of that and tradition in honor of that. And then what do? You guys just as members, you go around and deliver these throughout the community, or?
Right, to the firemen, the ambulance barn, the
Any first responder,
bunkers, yeah,
extension office, the bank, anybody that had
courthouse.
had a hand in helping people out, and that's our way of saying, hey, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Very
I
nice.
appreciate the work that you're doing.
Well, thank you very much.
You know,
Appreciate that.
That's
Yeah.
a tough role to be in, and you handle it, in my book, extremely well.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. There's no cookie cutter way. There's no playbook on how to do this. You just we just take, just like the Salvation Army. We just take care of people.
So all you need to do is have a full cup or a full pot of coffee and go for
We
it.
got that brewing here in the back. All right. Thank you guys very much for coming, and once
good morning,
again,
John.
thank you so much
Good to see you
that-
guys.
for everything that you guys continue to do.
Can we
for our
still say
community.
go
Thank
Packers?
you.
Can we still say that?
Go
We can
Pack.
try.
Thank you, folks.
Yeah, we appreciate the folks from the.
Sorry to break in like this.
That's all right. No, we appreciate you coming in.
Always.
So we
Well, you got-
have donuts courtesy of the Salvation Army, but that's a neat story. I had no idea.
I didn't either.
Yeah, when he texted last night, I just thought he knew that John, you and I were always hungry,
yes.
and that he wanted to jump on the show, for something
Yeah.
like that. So no, we appreciate that. Salvation Army, that was just perfect timing too when it comes to recovery efforts, long-term recovery. Man, they stepped up in such a big way.
Wow, did they?
and they always do.
Wow.
Like I said, I always say act like I'm so surprised, but I'm not surprised
Yeah.
because they're always there, and we appreciate those efforts. So while we're kind of along the lines here of recovery, we talked about short-term recovery, we talked about the SBA, we talked about the June 14 deadline for FEMA. But beyond June the 14th, we're still going to have needs, and we're going to still have wants, and folks are still going to have somebody to talk to in case management or whatever the case may be. And some of the funding that has been, all of the funding that has been donated through the different resources, whether it's to the United Way, whether it's to the Community Foundation. I know the Terre Haute Association of Realtors have helped put together a fund, and too many to name. But what we try to do is coordinate these through kind of funnel and harness all this energy through the Sullivan County Long-Term Recovery Group. And I know they have a strong social media presence. So without any further ado, I'm not sure who from the Long-Term Recovery team is going to be here on the show with us today, but we'll invite you on up.
While we wait for them to come to our area here, we're going to say thank you once again to Brian and Gina Mills of Gina Country Financial Services right here in Sullivan at 21 North Core Street. See Brian and Gina for all of your auto, home, life, business, and retirement needs. The number to call is 812-268-5002. That's 268-5002.
We're playing musical chairs here,
Oh, my
John. We
goodness,
have
we
three
got
guests
everybody.
here from the long-term. So while I'm moving things around, please go ahead and introduce yourself. Go through the line.
I'm Chris Egge. I'm a part of the executive committee of the Long-Term Tornado Recovery Coalition. That's a project of the Wabash Valley Community Foundation.
Awesome.
I am Rachel Reed, and I am the case management chair.
Okay.
And I am Joe Erlenbush, and I am the chair of the executive committee for the Sullivan County Long-Term Tornado Recovery Coalition.
Awesome. We're kind of playing. We're passing the mic around here. Yeah, go ahead and scoot up, get close, get comfy.
Close as you can.
Yeah. Anybody want a donut while we're here? We've got a few of those here. So we talked to Mr. Clark from the SBA. You guys are familiar with the efforts that FEMA's doing, and Salvation Army. You saw all the different efforts coming together. But you were the folks that stepped up and understood that this wasn't going to be a quick fix, right? It's not like I've said before, it's not like the tornado comes on March 31st, the power company comes in the next day, restores utilities, whatever, and everything's back to normal. Matter of fact, nobody will totally be back to normal. There's kind of a new sense of normalcy. So kind of explain briefly how this coalition originally kind of formed, kind of put together, and the big reason why the importance of a coalition. I think there's some misconception, with some of the funding coming in that we can just take pots of money and just walk down the street and start handing out cash, which we would all love to. I think everybody sitting at this table right now would love to just start trying to make people whole the best they can. But obviously it's a little more complicated than that. So if you could just kind of explain the why, how it got started, where we're at, kind of give us an update, and what can our community, and most importantly, the tornado victims, what can they expect moving forward? So that's kind of a lot of questions. So just kind of anybody that wants to chime in.
Yeah, thanks for having us on, Mayor, by the way. And so I'll try to condense the story and the explanation here. But there are about 50 of your community volunteers that make up this group from all the different parts. There's 10 committees that make up the Sullivan County Long-Term Tornado Recovery Coalition. And you have case management, construction management, volunteer management, communications committee, you have a lead council, financial and fundraising, emotional, spiritual care, and non-monetary donation management, and we also have a business committee helping out the businesses, and an advocacy committee.
So you mentioned a lot of different committees there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that just shows this isn't necessarily a financial issue. This isn't necessarily just a spiritual issue, an emotional issue. This isn't construction. You talked about construction management there, rebuilding. There are so many different factors to this. It's not as simple as a tweet or a social media post or whatever. It's a lot more complex than this. And while we understand the anxieties, this is what you're kind of maneuvering through to get people some relief.
Yeah, and how it stood up was the National VOAD, the National Volunteer Organization Assisting in Disasters, came in and organized us to stand up. And it took a little while because we had to write bylaws and we had to get insurance, and it took a minute to stand up everything. We had to get phone numbers for case management and set up the emails, and there was a process to this. So the group is up and running, and the purpose of it is to organize all these volunteer efforts that are coming in, whether it's Catholic Charities or all these resources that are coming in, so that services aren't being duplicated. That nothing's being wasted. All the funds that are coming in through the Wabash Valley Community Foundation are being strategically pointed in the right direction. And a lot of people are frustrated why funds aren't going out right away. These are for unmet needs, meaning we got to get through the FEMA process, the SBA process, back to FEMA, and then it comes to our committee through case management, which we'll let Rachel talk about here in a second because she's heading up that committee. And that's where we step in to fill in the cracks and plug the holes. And again, we're looking long term. This isn't something that's going to be done in 6 months.
And there's no cookie cutter, right? Once again, we say there's no cookie cutter way to handle a natural disaster. It's not like you have a playbook. And while you provide relief for your citizens, John, who lives here, might need something totally different than Jill that lives next door. So it's not like, well, you get $5 and you get $10 or whatever that dollar amount may be. There are different scenarios. There's different people in different situations. So yeah, absolutely. It's like I said, I just want to kind of help reiterate that point, the complicated and the muddy waters, so to speak, that you need to navigate through. So yeah, Rachel, kind of talk to us what you've seen up to this point, a little bit about case management.
Case management is up and running. We have 7 to 8 case managers, all volunteers, and they are working through the original list that was given by EMA, and then we get, if you signed a release of information from FEMA, we get information, and we're working through calling all the individuals that were affected by this tornado. It's a slow process because we have to ask a lot of questions. And we're going to ask you, have you applied for FEMA? Have you applied for SBA? And we're going to encourage you to do so. I think as of yesterday, we have had contact with 53 individuals.
Okay. So yeah, that's probably a big question. Like, okay, funding's coming in, you're establishing this team. Have you had a chance to make direct contact with any of the impact victims? So 53. And that's honestly, that's more than what I thought to this point. So just because it might not be publicized, just because, quite frankly, like I've said before, it's really nobody's business. I mean, it's our business because we all care about our loved ones in the community. But at the end of the day, it's about these individual families. and the decisions that they want to make, whether it's their property, whether it's rebuilding, whether it's relocating. And this is confidential information.
Yes.
So what happens with this family might be totally separate. And that's what case management's all about. And to make sure things are confidential, correct?
Correct.
So somebody that's already struggling, going through a hard time, my gosh, your entire world's been turned upside down. The last thing we need is the rest of your life. You've already been exploited to the whole world, literally. Your home has been opened up and shattered. And so we appreciate the confidentiality and the case managers evaluating every single situation.
I'd like to provide a little transparency to that, Clint, on the confidentiality part, because that is some feedback that we hear. And how the process works is when case management makes contact and goes through their process, and then that case, that individual family or that individual person's case is brought to the rest of these other committees with their resources, we don't know who they are. It's a number. So there is no small town bias happening. That case is a case number that we're making the decisions based on that individual case, whether it's construction support, financial support, non-monetary donation support, whether it's furniture or whatever. So I just wanted to kind of explain that a little bit for everybody.
And the sustainability of this organization. This organization got together pretty quick within the first week. So this organization's about already 2 months old. We all know we appreciate volunteers, but it's hard. This is a big task. So to have people volunteering for 2 months, and you're going to need these same volunteers in 2 months from now, another 2 months. I mean, these volunteers could literally give up a year, if not more, of their lives to help and assist, to help make sure everybody's taken care of. So you're the chairperson of the executive team. Kind of talk to how you first got involved and give us your perspective on everything that's transpired up to this point. Where do you see this organization moving forward?
Well, I was told to attend a meeting by by Logan Pearson. So he said, come to this meeting, and they said that we need somebody to step up and lead this team. And so I was like, you know what? I've got the time to do it. It's about 1.5 to 2 years is what we're looking at. Sooner would be even better. But, we've been putting the nuts and bolts together. As Chris mentioned, we had to get insurance. We had to do bylaws. And then, you have to bring everybody together to be able to get things moving.
Sure.
So we finally gotten to that point.
Trainings.
Yeah, trainings are a big thing too. Construction, they have to do their own trainings. Case management has to do 2 days of training themselves with Jane Crady. So, yeah, I mean, it's been
Sound like
a long
a group
road.
sitting around this conference table today saying, yep, let's so and so her this much and this so much more than that. So, we kind of talked about how we got up to this point. We talked about what the organization is going to do moving forward, how long it's going to take. But if I'm an impact victim, or if I'm a tornado victim and I've been impacted and I have contacted my insurance company, or I'm uninsured, I have reached out to FEMA, I have reached out to the SBA, I have jumped through all the hoops, I've done everything. What is the step to get connected with you folks?
Okay, so the whole reason we're here, the three of us are here, is because we are pleading with all the survivors and the community to contact the survivors, to follow the process of apply to FEMA, apply to SBA. You don't have to accept a loan, and not everyone's gonna, qualify. So then you get kicked back to FEMA for the
We want to maximize your benefits.
So, and then sign the information release so that it can come to case management, and then that's where we get involved.
Okay.
That's the process, and we need that process done by June 14th. So then we can help beyond that.
Are most people not doing this? Is this
There
the
are a
problem?
lot that have not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There is a strong number that have applied to FEMA, but there is a huge number that haven't taken the next step to SBA.
I understand.
And then even a greater number that haven't gone back to FEMA, and that step has to be done.
Gotcha.
So.
Gotcha.
I visited SBA yesterday to learn more personally about the process. They're very helpful. They'll walk you through it. And then if you have questions, the case management number is 812-564-1591. And we can also help with those processes. If you have FEMA questions and you just need someone to go with you so another person can hear it, because you're overwhelmed or whatever, that's part of what we do in case management, and we are willing to help with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's a lot of folks that just have the exhaustion and they're just kind of like throw their hands up in the air. But at the same time, we encourage them, we beg them, we plead with them that I know it's a long road, I know it's tough, but my gosh, these federal resources are here to help. State resources have been here to help, and the only way you can help is if those are exhausted. So yeah.
Yeah, and just a couple of things I want to reiterate on that is the fact that you do not have to accept the loan. So that is something that you need to keep in mind. And another thing is that as we just learned, you do not get a hard inquiry on your credit report whenever you apply for this. So, if that's one of the reasons you're not applying, don't be afraid to apply. As soon as you go to FEMA, you can walk right across if you have the time, and you can apply right to SBA at the same time on the same day to get the process moving. So June 14th is that deadline. And another thing I want to put out there is we have a Facebook that we would like you all to like and share the message and things.
And the name of that Facebook
page?
page?
It's the same name as our group, so it's the Sullivan County Long-Term Tornado Recovery Coalition.
So at the end of the show, be sure to check that out. Even if you're not been impacted, please check out their Facebook page, like it, follow it, and share it. Like I said, if you live in Farmersburg, if you live in no matter where you live, even if you're not, help us get the word out. Share this, or maybe you do know somebody that's been impacted. Give them a phone call, shoot them a text, and say, hey, get in touch with these folks. Check out their social media sources. But I agree, and I want to reiterate, there are so many folks that have I don't know if they feel like they don't need FEMA or SBA or whatever the case may be, but even if they feel that way, it's important to them to go through the process, and it's important to the community. Because while we have a lot of experts in the area, we've had the National Weather Service, we've had federal officials, state officials, Homeland Security, you name it, we are still collecting data, right? We are still collecting. There are times that I'm still asking John 2 months later as a mayor, I want to know exactly how many folks in my city were impacted, from the toddler to the senior citizen. I want to know exactly, instead of, I think it's 60 households or 70. We're still, 2 months later, still collecting a lot of this information. How did it affect in public assistance? How did it affect your infrastructure? Full disclosure, we've had issues at the wastewater treatment plant of ammonia levels that were tornado related. So this has so many tentacles, this disaster does, and it is so important that all of us come together as a community. Check out the resources available. Like you said, you don't have to accept it, but at least check the box and then come see local familiar faces that that are volunteering their time to get you taken care of.
Yep. And the last thing that I want to point out, this is an exhausting process, and that's the people who have gone through this. This is what we're doing this for. And we have Lance Newton as our chair of the Emotional Spiritual. Some of you may know Lance that are listening. Some of you...
He's my pastor.
Yeah. So, but he is... If you need somebody to talk to, whether it's spiritual guidance, whether it's, if that's not your boat, then you just need someone to have an outlet for. Please reach out. On the Facebook, there is a number that Lance has personally that you can call and get in contact with our emotional support committee, because, it's not just finances that people are hurting about. This is big.
This is PTSD. Let's call it what it is. This was a traumatic episode for a community and for a lot of individuals, and they're going to need that. Even if they don't think they need it, give Lance a call. He'd be more than happy to have a conversation with you.
And he has a whole team. He has an entire committee that's there to support. So my last plug is get on the Facebook, follow the Sullivan County Long-Term Tornado Recovery Coalition page, share it. If you need help, call 812-564-1591, which is case management, And that's what this whole group is here for, is to help you through this process.
Awesome.
Very
Thank
good.
you so much. Anything else? Yeah.
One thing that we are going to be trying to work on over the before June 14th, which is the deadline for both FEMA and SBA, we're hoping to have some information tents outside of Basler's and Walmart. So those of you that are listening that don't have internet, don't have access to Facebook, you might be listening on the radio, whatnot. If you can come get those resources for somebody get the flyer from them and get the word out, because we're trying to get the word out to everybody, not just those who have the privilege of having Facebook
Sure,
or all
sure.
that. So
All
yeah,
right.
be on the lookout for that over the next week or so. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the folks, the volunteers from the Sullivan County Long-Term Recovery. Once again, be sure to check out their Facebook page for all the information. You can contact. I believe there's even a video from Lance on there that kind of talks about, and we really appreciate them coming on this morning, talking about the efforts. I just think there needed to be some clarity there.
Right.
And there's so much information, so many different things going on that you can see, John, a lot of different factors. And it's so important that messaging. Sometimes I feel like we're a broken record.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's so important that people get the understand and get the resources and the help they need. But once again, huge kudos to these volunteers.
Volunteers is what I could.
Volunteers
Yeah.
that are giving their time, dedicating their talents to try to take care of our neighbors.
These are people with full-time jobs.
Full-time jobs, they're raising their kids,
Yeah.
they're rolling around on a scooter with motorcycle wrecks, everything else. So they definitely have their own share of issues. But John, no, I think so far, and we've still got a lot of things to talk about, but I think it's been a great show today.
Oh, absolutely.
From the long-term recovery, SBA, FEMA, Salvation Army here with us today, just so many people that are truly living by our city's motto, taking time to care. So thank you folks for coming on the show. God bless you, what you're doing, and keep
Grab a donut.
us posted and updated, okay?
Yeah,
All
thank
right.
you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys are awesome. Thank you. You go through something like that, it just reinforces what a great area we have here.
It's amazing.
Because we have so many people that are so willing to donate their time to help so many people in need, whether it's a tornado or whatever the situation is. There's always people out here that do such an amazing job of that.
Somebody's got your back.
Oh.
I said many times before, probably I've never in my life, the 43 years of my life, been surrounded by so many people. But at the time, but also, John, in this position, it gets lonely. Mm-hmm. It's weird. You're surrounded by everybody, but sometimes you just feel like, man, does anybody have your back here?
Yeah.
And then when you see things like this, it's just like, okay,
Yeah.
this is the greater good. This is exactly why we do what we do. And I get frustrated because so bad, you just want to go down there and give them some money and help them out. You really do. And you want to, it just doesn't move as quick as we'd like. The cleanup's been great. It continues. But sometimes you just feel like, I think people have the anxiety that things are stagnant right now. But know that just because you don't physically see maybe some things happening, because so much happened in such a short period of time so quickly, that there are dedicated individuals that are still busting their tail to make this place whole.
You want to give a plug to the big truck out here? Or that was out there by Old City Hall?
But I didn't.
There's a huge truck that got the groceries and stuff in it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Christian Church.
Okay, from the First Christian
Yeah.
Church, the mobile pantry.
Right, yeah.
All right, I didn't see it today. Sorry, I was so focused on getting here on the show, I must have taken a different route.
Yeah.
And that's not the first time that's been
No,
here,
no.
right? That was over at their church parking lot, I think, a month or so ago, a couple weeks ago. Now it's back again, so the giving continues.
Just want to make sure people know that it's available today, and I'm not sure it's probably going to be located at the church again, but you have to. They encourage you to sign up. So call First Christian Church, get yourself signed up. You'll have a designated time to go through there, and it's not just for tornado victims, but it's for people in need in general. So take advantage of it. It's a wonderful, awesome thing, and
very nice setup there for the mobile pantry. Be sure to check that out. And like John said, please contact the First Christian Church.
Yes.
To kind of get registered. They're not going to turn you away if you don't, but they would really appreciate if you call ahead of time and get registered. Kind of piggybacking off the long-term coalition. If you remember last month's show, we had Mr. Gentry from the Sullivan Lions Club. He was on the show.
Right.
He was talking about disaster relief efforts. He's also a member of the Sullivan County Long-Term Recovery. If you remember, the Lions Club kind of partnered in this coalition of all these folks coming together. So I just want to announce that the last day on the north side of the square of the Oddfellows was Wednesday.
Okay.
May 31st. So if you remember in those early days in the first few weeks of the tornado, the Sullivan Civic Center, the downtown gym was available.
Right.
Sweet Peas on the south side of the square / Recovery Cafe.
Right.
Right. And then also the Oddfellows there on the north side of the square was also another relief center where people could pick up food and supplies. Over time, they've streamlined and kind of narrowed this thing down. The Civic Center, the downtown gym went to the north side of the square. We'll now want to announce that the north side of the square is no longer a supply and relief area there. But all of the product, the goods that were in there, have been transferred to Recovery Cafe, formerly Melbourne's Pharmacy there at Sweet Peas on the south side of the square. So their last day was May 31st, so they're asking people to use the Recovery Cafe for supplies and other food banks for needs. They're shifting to bring in bigger donation items such as furniture, mattresses, which I think they're going to be announcing that soon, that we actually had Appliance Factory in Terre Haute is offering Tempur-Pedic mattresses to a certain amount of people. So many people and outpouring of support, so give them a plug. Be sure to go see Scott and Larry today up there. Let them know if you've been impacted. Go in there. They'll work something out with you, and they've been a great donor. They're in Terre Haute on 3rd Street, right there next to Long John Silver's. Check them out. Mattresses, building materials, etc., as part of the non-monetary donation arm of the long-term recovery. We started this conversation with the monetary financial contributions that need to go through the Wabash Valley Community Foundation. You talked about the emotional, spiritual needs, everything long-term recovery. Now we're talking about the disaster centers that are being facilitated there on the south side of the square. But this is a big plea from Mr. Gentry when I talked to him yesterday. We appreciate everybody's generosity, but they are needing temporary storage space, okay? And when they say temporary, that temporary storage space, they're asking if anyone has it or knows of people that have space to reach out to chris.gentry@helpsullivanrecover.com. So chris.gentry@helpsullivanrecover.com. Now, this facility needs to be climate controlled. It needs to be secure, and it being closer to Sullivan would be ideal, right? So you're not shipping stuff back and forth to another county.
Yeah.
But they are interested in what's out there for temporary use. And when we say temporary use, that's 12 to 18 months. Okay. So if anybody has a big building and they feel led to want to help out in a big way, they desperately need storage for all of the things, the furniture, the mattresses, the building supplies, the things that are going to come in to start or to continue the relief efforts down south. They definitely need that. So they would really appreciate that. So it's more than just the volunteers on the long-term recovery group. They're going to need your help. They're going to continue to need your help, and so are the impact folks. Or the folks that were impacted by it.
This is our monthly chat with the mayor. Again, it's brought to you by Gina Mills Country Financial. See Brian and Gina for all of your auto, home, also life, business, and retirement needs. 21 North Court Street is the address. And again, the phone number is 268-5002. That's 268-5002. Want to give a big shout out to our Lady Arrow tennis program today.
Absolutely. Big day, going to the state finals,
Yes.
semi-state champions, and I know there's a handful of them. You can check out the Sullivan City Pool Facebook page. There's a handful of them that are pool dual duty. They're lifeguards, and they are also outstanding tennis stars that are going to be playing for the state championship. Go Lady Arrows, bring that title home. And also, gosh dang, what a tough loss the other night with our softball program.
And baseball.
Yeah, and baseball.
Yeah, we both had tough ones there. In a 24-hour period, it was rough, but both played well, gave great effort. And
for those seniors, great careers.
It was. Softball in particular, those three seniors were involved in a lot of wins and some of the greatest moments we've ever had in our softball program.
Absolutely. Deep into the tournament over the last couple seasons, and now going to the regional championship in extra innings, and just coming up just a little bit short. Yes. So it really is an amazing community. We talk about the tornadoes and this and that, but this batch of athletes, these past several seasons,
Right.
John, you've been here since
Yes.
'94.
Right.
I mean, they're really hitting on all
Oh, my
cylinders at
gosh.
Sullivan High
Yeah.
School. So
Yeah.
it's great. It's great for the kids, but also to know you got a mayor and you got an entire community behind you, supporting you, cheering you on. Also, congratulations to the seniors at Sullivan High School that graduated. Hopefully you go off and you get your education, do whatever you want to do, and then we want you to come back home and take those talents and skills and invest here in our hometown as we continue to rebuild the most amazing city here in the state of Indiana. So speaking of all that, John, we talked about athletics, we talked about the tornado stuff, the Sullivan neighborhood revitalization.
Right.
Just earlier this week, we held a press conference with 3 local developers, Briggs and Gable, Mr. Troy Stanton, who partners with Natalie Green at Century 21 Elite. We also had Nora Leone from Nora Properties, and then J&J Development, which is Jerry Ashman, Jeff McNeely. Jeff
Okay.
represented them the other day, and we kind of talked about how the neighborhood revitalization is now starting to come full circle. We've talked so many times about the demolition of eyesores and blighted
Right,
properties.
right.
And now, if you drive around the city, you can hear the sound of construction. New homes going up North Broad Street, North State Street, all over the city, getting ready to start as soon as the survey is completed on East Washington Street with some new homes. So in multiple scattered sites, there's a new home going on already pre-sold to actually a lady in Terre Haute moving down. It was great to see. Jeff talked about the other day his 24-year-old college graduate daughter coming back to Sullivan. So that's the most inspiring. I mean, the houses are nice, don't get me wrong.
Yes.
But they're homes.
Right.
They're a place to call home.
Yes.
A place to create the new good old days, right?
Yes.
For memories to be made, for laughs to be made or to be had, for tears to be wiped off, for butts to get whipped when they're out of line, whatever the case may be, over the next several decades. So the neighborhood revitalization, these homes that you're seeing constructed are for purchase. Disclosure, the mayor has no financial interest in any of these homes. The city of Sullivan's not building these homes. The city of Sullivan does not own these homes. They're not maintaining these homes. This is private sector coming in. Mm-hmm. We get it up to a certain point. We acquire the properties. We clean up the properties. And now these folks have stepped up, made legal bids when these properties were advertised and said, we appreciate what the city's done and we got it from here. So that's the next to final step, the final step. Getting those homes sold, watching those U-Haul trucks pull up, and watching our city continue to flourish and grow, John. So just a quick update there. Be sure to check that out. I know there's coverage on that and local media sources. You can check that out. For more details on the city Facebook page. We mentioned earlier in May the flower flood was here, so we got a month full of those. They're starting to be in full bloom, and that truly raises the spirits. People can say what they want, but they love it. It truly it's more than a cliche in the downtown Sullivan. It does feel good to be here for
Absolutely,
sure. So I want to kudos to all the volunteers at Ohio Valley Gas. Not only helped with the pool, they helped with that as well, and the Sullivan County Garden Club, which we've had members on the show here before them, also helped out with those efforts. In the efforts led by J.D. Wilson and Cody McKinley here, the DPW on that as well. So that took place. The May Days I mentioned earlier, that was on May 13th on a Saturday. Vendors all around the downtown square. There was the foamy homies that were blowing bubbles.
Yes.
You and I have blown a few bubbles. Wait, never mind. Blow the foam off a few. I mean, anyway, there's the foamy homies were downtown, and people were having a great time. It was there on the northwest corner of the square of Court and Washington. The foamy homies. So stay tuned for that. The redevelopment commission met in May, and they have found a tenant to go on the north side of the square, on the northwest corner, and the restaurant there. So I don't want to give a lot of details, but there is a tenant. They are getting ready to sign a long-term lease, and hopefully by this fall you'll see another restaurant there on the north side of the square.
That's great.
Also, Coneheads is coming to downtown Sullivan. They're on the southeast corner. They're at the farmers market. You can see if you drive by there, it's been painted, cleaned up. So I think their goal here is maybe by next weekend or the next. I don't want to give dates. I know they're working tirelessly to get that up and going. I also know they have a food truck, so you might see a combination of cone heads and I believe potato heads, something like that is the name of their business. Tables and chairs, umbrellas, and of course the farmers are always more than welcome to come utilize the market. So that could be a pretty happening corner, John, if you have snow cones, food trucks, and produce all at once, continuing to drive this activity downtown beautiful Sullivan.
Awesome.
So look forward to that. We mentioned Lady Arrow Tennis. You have something with the Chamber of Commerce?
We're going to have our annual ice cream social at Baszler's on June 30th from 11 to 2, but this year all the money raised will go to businesses affected by the tornado. So,
Okay.
so please come out and give. It goes to a great cause. It's June 30th, and that's a Friday from 11 to 2. We'll be right outside the Baszler's Market, so please come by and see us get some wonderful ice cream. And big thank you to Bob Baszler and everybody at Baszler's
He comes
Market
through
for
every
helping
year
out.
on that,
Oh,
doesn't he?
my God.
And the Chamber. How many
Yeah.
years now? 7 or 8 doing
Yeah,
this ice
it
cream
is, yeah,
social?
yeah.
It's a good time. I think everybody looks forward to it. It's a June tradition.
Yeah.
Also, big shout out to the Sullivan County Shifters. They're having another car show. That thing just gets bigger and better every year. It's beautiful downtown. It's on a Sunday, June 25th. Even if you don't like antique old cars, it's just a great time.
Yeah.
There's music playing, there's food, there's drinks. It's just a really fine time. Come downtown, bring your lawn chair, just hang around, see the downtown, and also check out all the cool old cars. It just really is a neat time. It's a great event. I think last year was their 10th annual, so this is their 11th, I
Right.
think.
Mm-hmm.
So another tradition that continues to happen in downtown Sullivan. Wanted to make sure all of those events were mentioned here.
Yeah.
My watch battery is dead, so I'm not sure. We're
We've
probably
got
running
about 30 seconds.
We're running close on time. We'll close with the welcome all senior citizens of Sullivan County to the 55 and over mixer going on June 16th at the Sullivan Civic Center from 6 to 9 p.m. Live DJ, hors d'oeuvres, cash bar, dancing, door prizes, all free. Come in. Sullivan Civic Center, 344 North Main Street. That is the Sullivan Senior Citizen or the Senior Society of Sullivan, sponsored by Brown's Jewelers, Chamber of Commerce, Petty Pit Stop, Kegel Heating and Cooling, Napa. There's another one. I'm sorry it got cut off here. I apologize. A Square Rose Tattoo, City of Sullivan. Senior citizens all over Sullivan County, join us on June 16th. Check out all the great events. Be sure to keep watching social media and Facebook. God bless you. Thank you all for continuing to buy in, because it's so much more than a mayor. We are the best city in the state of Indiana. God bless you. Have a great weekend, my friend.
Thank you. That's our monthly chat with the mayor, Clint Lamb, here on WNDI, AM and FM Sullivan, brought to you by Gina Mills Country Financial Service.